And we're on. All right. Hello, everyone. This is Bolaji, the founder of Brave Young Heroes, and I'm excited to bring you another Raising Resilient Kids Masterclass. Okay, guys, you're going to love this one, so strap in, get comfortable, light a candle, get your coffee, and take notes. This is going to be good. We are talking to a young lady who is a best-selling author, Danish parenting expert, and she's a cultural researcher. Her work has been featured in the New York Times, Vanity Fair, NPR, Huffington Post, Mothermag, and the Greater Good Science Center. She's also, tell your sons this, a spokesperson for Lego Group. And tell your daughters as well, because they're going to love it. Jessica Joelle Alexander is the author of The Danish Way of Parenting, What the Happiest People in the World Know About Raising Confident, Capable Kids. So please help me welcome the amazing Jessica Joelle Alexander. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you. That was quite an intro. Thank you.
Hey, listen, I
energy.
didn't do you justice, but we're about to get into it, Jessica, because I have a bone to pick with you.
Okay.
I have a bone to pick with you. So we are here because I'll admit it. As a parent, I have two kids. My boys are 9 and 12, and I might need help because they might be a little bit overscheduled and I'm a little bit exhausted as a parent. Sometimes I feel like an Uber driver and I can't stop. But Jessica, I take issue with the title of your book. You say The Danish Way of Parenting, What the Happiest People Know. I've got to let you know, Miss Jessica, parenting expert, American parents are pretty darn awesome. Let me tell you, parenting is a sport, Jessica, and we play to win. All right? We put our kids in piano, karate, soccer, extra math classes, right? They're doing it all. I'm working on that college application because they got to get their scholarship right now. It's never too early to start, Jessica. So tell me, what do you think I'm doing wrong? I have it all figured out.
Well, first of all, I don't think you're doing anything wrong.
Yes.
I mean,
that's a point for America.
Hold on. Let's put it this way. I try not to ever sort of. I don't think there's any wrong or right way. I think every parent is trying their best. I think we're all doing our best. I'm American, so I can completely relate to everything you're saying. I only maybe saw things a little bit differently because I've been exposed to other ways. So yeah, I just think maybe it's good to examine. You said you're really stressed out.
I mean, I might collapse and go to sleep right after the kids go to bed every night, but I mean, I'm a parent. I'm sacrificing for the future of my kids. It's just 18 years.
Sure. So I would just say, are you overscheduling your kids because you want them to, or because you feel the culture is pressuring you to?
Okay, all right. Let me give an example. So, for example, my older son, we put him into soccer when he was 7, and it was recreation soccer, and it was fun, and he had some potential. He had some athletic ability. Now, me, I was always the kid to be picked last. Let's be honest. As a kid, I was short. I didn't have as much athletic ability or confidence. So seeing my kid thrive in soccer, I'm like, we might be onto something here. And we started to put him in more competitive soccer. So the next year, he was practicing 3 days a week. And that was a little bit of a struggle, but we adapted. Because as parents, we sacrifice everything for our kids. And he did so well that the next year he moved up, and now he's on 4 nights of soccer a week, and they're playing on the weekends. And so, a lot of my wife and my schedule is driving to soccer, sitting at soccer, driving back from soccer, collapsing. But we're doing it because parenting is a sport, and we're playing to win, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would say, what is winning?
It is. Okay. So here it is. Winning is our kids not being on the street as adults, having a good job, living in a good neighborhood, making good money, comfortable, nice vacations, 2 kids and a dog, picket fences. I think that's winning.
What about happiness?
Well, when they get the picket fences, they will be very happy.
Okay, so exactly. So I think this is the difference. Is I think we have the idea that when you have the picket fence, when you have the house, when you have the trophies, when you have the degrees, when you have the awards, then you will be happy. And I think
Sounds pretty
what
good.
yeah, no, that's the American way, and that's how we are raised, and that's what we
Yes.
believe. But I think anyone who's American, not anyone, but I think most people, if they think about this, they can relate to this feeling, and that we have this kind of idea in our minds of what success looks like, and it is like a winning culture, and there are certain things you need to have in order to have made it, right? But the older you get, I think many people can also relate to the feeling of that's not always as fulfilling as we think it's going to be. And this is because I don't know if you heard of the difference between an internal locus of control and an external locus of control.
Oh, please do share.
Okay, so an external locus of control. A locus of control is the place from which you drive yourself.
Got it.
Okay, locus means place in Latin, so it's the place of control.
Got it.
So an external locus control means you're driven from the outside. So you're driven from external things to get good grades, to get a trophy, to have degrees, to all of these things, right? Yes. An internal locus of control is something that is more sort of meaning driven. So your relationships, your doing things that make you feel like a good person. And when you're driven from an internal locus of control, the drive is more, you have a sense of control over your life. So it's like, I know that I'm driving and I can see what I want, and it's a very, it's a very meaningful feeling. Whereas an external locus of control, if your life is too much driven by doing things for other people, essentially, because often these things are demonstrations to others that we're good enough, right? I mean, that's winning, and that's what we see as success. The only problem with that is that if you have done a lot of your life has been driven by these external factors, then it can feel sort of sad inside. A lot of people can suffer from depression or anxiety, and in fact, we've seen a rising level of anxiety and depression in America. And many people say that this is because we are over-programming our kids' lives and not giving them enough opportunity to choose themselves, to be creative themselves, to develop what they really want to do. Instead, they're always trying to please others. And that doesn't give you the ability to sort of know who you are, which becomes the really deep depth of happiness and well-being, is that you're okay for who you are, not for what you're doing, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. It does make sense, Jessica. And it's interesting because it strikes me that a lot of us parents want both.
Of
Yes,
course.
we want our kids to be empathetic, compassionate. We want them to have meaning, to find meaning and purpose and fulfillment. We want all that, but we also don't want them to, have to suffer financially and
Right.
not have that financial security. We don't want them
Right.
to live in dangerous
Of
neighborhoods.
course. But I think I think one of the first steps, well, at least I don't know if I should go into explaining a little bit about how I shifted my perception, because I was completely like type A. I was completely on this track, right?
Do share. Yes, please. I want to hear this.
I can completely relate to it, and I completely understand how this is. I mean, I was thinking about. Oops, is our internet okay?
No, you're fine.
I was thinking about. I was thinking about education before my children were born, but I many years ago I married a Danish man, and so I was exposed to the Danish culture about 20 years ago, and I always marveled at the children there, because they seemed so happy and so serene and so respectful and calm, and I was observing this for many years. But it wasn't until I had my own children and I studied hundreds of parenting books and I wanted to be uber prepared. But then I realized that the advice that I was getting from my Danish family and friends and Danish society, I felt was much more sensible and worked better than any of the books that I had read.
Okay, so if I may, Jessica, what you're saying is this is essentially your Danish husband's fault. You were
Yes,
on the
100%.
you were you were on the track of success, Jessica. You were
Totally.
studying what colleges to send your kids to. You
Yes,
didn't even have
yes,
kids yet,
yes,
and
yes,
then here he
yes.
comes with all the touchy-feely stuff.
Yes, yes.
And,
Well, it wasn't even, it wasn't touchy-feely stuff. It was just, actually, I would say some of the Danish way is even harder in some ways than the American way, for different things. That's another discussion. But it was definitely different, and I really recognized it being different. But I also recognized that suddenly, what the advice I was getting, how much advice there is out there, how overwhelming it is, and how confusing it is. And I also think that one of the reasons that we overschedule our kids and helicopter our kids is because we're kind of overwhelmed. So we sort of turn our kids into a success story for ourselves as parents, which I don't think we realize is stressing everybody out. So anyway, so I was suddenly getting all of this advice, which by the way, Danes have been using for, centuries. Nothing has changed.
so hang on. So this isn't based on like the latest cutting edge
No. Danes are very protected from sort of outside fads because it's not a commercialistic society. So these are things that have been around because they think it's good for the people, not for a product or, etc. So, this is advice that has been there for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, they're very skeptical before changing their mind to external fads, I would say. Anyway, and they just made a lot of sense, right? I mean, I was suddenly thinking, this is amazing. Yeah, I'm going to do that. That works. And I was getting results. Also, if you look at the children in Denmark, you can see it. Like, there's no screaming, there's no yelling. I mean, it's just, it's pretty crazy. It's almost like bizarre.
Well, okay, so let me ask you, Jessica, just on that point. I appreciate that. I'm sure Danish kids are wonderful, but we've got some pretty awesome kids here in America. Is there like a quantitative way? How do you know that Danish kids are happier, more empathetic?
Well, so this is where, Well, this is where I'll tell you the aha moment, right?
Okay.
This is the paradigm shift for me. This was my eureka moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I was using this way for 4 years after the birth of my son. So now I have 2 kids and I'm completely converted. Okay. I mean, every time I need to do something, I'm calling my Danish sister-in-law or Danish friend. What do I do? And then one day I was reading the newspaper and we were on vacation and my husband was playing with my daughter in a very Danish way. And I was thinking, God, I'm so lucky because what he was doing, I felt would affect her for the rest of her life. And at the same time, I read that Denmark had been voted as the happiest country in the world. I didn't know this. Okay, and I'm American, and I'm like, what? So no. Then I found out they've been voted for over 40 years in a row as in the top 3 happiest people in the world. And I thought, oh my God, it must be the way they're raising their children, because happy children become happy adults who raise happy children who grow into happy adults. And as I'm American and I know how obsessed we are with happiness, I couldn't understand how I didn't know this. I'm married to a Dane. And this has been going on for 40 years, that they're the happiest people in the world, the top 3. And I thought, as an American, this is a very, very interesting knowledge to share, because I knew that it helped me so much as a mother. It could help anybody. And I had to write the book because I thought I have to share this knowledge. I think it's so important. And it is. It's now in 25 countries. And I think I think people enjoy the common sense of it. It's called the Danish Way, but it's really more of a philosophy. So it's really it's for non-parents as well. This is a philosophy of life, I think.
This is fascinating to me, Jessica, and you